Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my guide talking about King of the Hill. This is kind of an introductory guide to King of the Hill, talking about the infantry side of things, the best ways to level up, covering perks, clothing, weapons, and a few tactics used in the AO. In the future, I will have guides talking about tactics used in the AO to help your team win, vehicle servers, that type of stuff. So I'll be going a little more in depth into the topic of King of the Hill in the future, but right now this is everything you need to know when starting out. Let's go ahead and get right into the video. Alright, so starting out, you have your perks. First, you'll only have one perk slot, so you can use one perk at a time. For 10k, you can buy a second one. You can use 2 perks at a time. For 100k, you can buy a third one. And you can use 3 perks at a time. Starting out, I recommend getting that second perk slot as one of the first things. The only thing I'd recommend getting before then is probably a slightly better rifle. And then the third perk slot, I'd say get that sometime before you hit level 30. Because later in game it's just really useful having it. So try and get all 3 perk slots rather quickly. As far as the actual perks, you have ammo. This gives you twice the ammo for your weapon, or up to twice the ammo for your weapon. So say I spawn with a T or G, I put on ammo, I'm going to have 9 mags instead of 5. So it's a very handy perk. Starting out, that's going to be the only perk you have access to. So I recommend running that, and as you level up, you'll unlock more of these perks. I think it's level 28 you unlock the last perk at. Marksman, this unlocks all access to all your marksman rifles. So you got your MK14, MK18, GM6 Link, Cyrus, all that type of stuff. Machine Gunner, this gives you access to all your light machine guns. So your Navid, SPMG, LAM, those types of guns. Launcher, this is of course all of your launchers, RPG-42, Alamat, RPG-7 if you're on a vehicle server, things like your Titan AT and Titan AA. Engineer allows you to repair a vehicle if it is damaged. Now, it only repairs to a certain extent. It will make the vehicle functional, but it's not going to fully repair the vehicle. Discount, it's 50% off whenever you spawn if you're renting your gear. Medic, you revive twice as fast and you have 5 medkits instead of 2. You also have 4 smoke grenades instead of 2. Infatigable, you regen your stamina. I believe it's twice as fast. Silencer, of course this one's kind of simple. It gives you a silencer in your weapon as long as it supports it. Explosive, if your weapon supports a grenade launcher, it'll give you that. It will give you extra RGO grenades. It will give you an explosive satchel, and if you have a launcher, it will give you more rockets for that launcher. Designator, this is great if you're a marksman. This will give you a laser designator, which has thermals. You can laser designate other enemies so your teammates can see where they are. It's a rangefinder as well, so you can find your rage. Everything you need to know with that. Countermeasures, this is more of a vehicle server's perk. If you're being shot at by a lock-on weapon, this will automatically fire smokes or flares, depending on if you're in an air or ground vehicle. And of course, bipod. This is another very simple perk. It adds a bipod to your weapon. So those there are all your perks. As I said, the higher the level, the more of these you'll have unlocked until eventually you have all of them unlocked. And I also highly recommend getting all 3 perk slots as soon as possible. So next, let's go ahead and talk about clothing. So clothing, a lot of this is just personal preference, but starting out, first thing you're going to have access to is the Rifleman armor, which is, in my opinion, is one of the best because it's a perfect balance of stamina, armor, and speed. And of course you have your Rifleman UK, which is different color variants. Your Specialist is a lot less armor, and you do not have a helmet, but you have an extra 10% speed boost, which is really nice. And then Recon is no armor at all, but you are 20% faster. And if you take out your binoculars, if you're running Infatigable perk and Recon, and you're carrying your binoculars while running, you can cover some serious ground using that. Spec Ops, it's the highest level armor you can get on King of the Hill, but you have a minus 10% debuff on your speed. Of course, your ghillie suits, your normal ghillie suit here, so the partial ghillie suit as I like to call it, and your full ghillie suits, which you have your semi-arid, your lush, and your arid. Of course, your helicopter pilot, your crewman, and your officer. Officers unlock at level 30. Everything else is in between that. And then, on level 50, you get the police officer. Level 55, you get the press. Level 60, you get the diver uniform. Level 65, you get the Hunter. Level 70, jackets and shorts. Level 75, you get the Racer uniform, or go-kart uniform, as I like to call it. And level 80, the Pilot uniform, which personally is one of my favorite sets of clothing. So that's really everything you need to know about your clothing. Just switch it out depending on the loadout you're using. Starting out, the only thing you'll have access to is Rifleman. And as I said, that's, in my opinion, the best set of clothing on all the teams. So I usually don't use anything other than Rifleman, unless I am sniping, in which case I need to use something where I have a lot more stamina. Now let's go ahead and hop into weapons. Alright, so now we're talking about weapons. The first weapon you have at level 1 is the TRG-21. This is a 30 round magazine, it's calibered in .556, has fully automatic and semi-automatic firing modes. While definitely not the greatest gun in the game, it's a pretty good starter weapon, and it'll get you to a high enough level to get some better rifles. Now I will have a clip on the screen right now, showing me just shooting some targets with it, demonstrating what it's like. Now, after you have leveled up enough and have saved enough money, you have two main options why you could go with an SMG, an MK20, things like that. The AKM and the Katiba are my personal favorites, and in my opinion, the best to level up. So, the AKM is a 7.62 30 round mag. It has both fully automatic and semi-automatic firing modes. Great accuracy, great range, great damage. Overall, an awesome gun. And I'll have a clip of that on the screen real quick. Just me shooting some targets. Now, the only downside to this weapon is the fact that you cannot put attachments on it. There's no silencers, there's no flashlights, no laser sights, no scopes or anything. And then you compare that to Katiba, which can have all those things and a grenade launcher. Now, the Katiba is a 6.5mm round. It is a 30 round magazine, has fully automatic and semi-automatic firing modes, and it's a pretty good gun overall. For an assault rifle, it's really good. I would not recommend it for long range shooting. I'd say up to 500 meters. Probably it's going to be most effective. I'll have a clip of that on the screen right now. Just me shooting some targets. Now, there's a big difference between the AKM and the Katiba. The AKM requires Apex, Katiba does not. There's no DLC at all required for the Katiba, while the AKM does require you to have currently the most expensive DLC for Arma 3. But it is still possible to use it without the DLC. You're just going to have watermarks on the screen prompting you to buy the DLC, and if you drop the gun or put it in your backpack or anything like that, you cannot re-equip it without respawning. So, if you do not own the Apex DLC, I recommend the Katiba over this. If you do own the Apex DLC, I recommend the AKM over the Katiba. But those are the two main guns you're going to want to get starting out, and those will take you from level 10 all the way up to really any level. You can use these for as long as you want. I still regularly use the AKM and the Katiba. And then of course you can go, as you level up more, you got your MX and your SMGs. The AK-12 unlocked a bit later on. It's a great gun overall, but I still recommend the AKM for leveling up, mainly because of the price on the AK-12. But it's very effective. You can put a grenade launcher on it, you can put scopes on it, you can put a silencer on it. It's an awesome gun. If you go into LMGs, sorry, You have your MXSW and your Kar 95, SPMG, all those types of weapons. And LMGs are okay for leveling up. If you have the money or in a high enough level, the SPMG, just finding yourself a nice building to set it up in, and the AO will serve you incredibly well and can make you a lot of money and XP fairly quickly. And you go the MK200 and the Naveed, personally two of my favorites. They're rather expensive and unlocked a bit later on, but those will work extremely well as well. And then you go into marksman rifles. You start with the Rahim, which in my opinion is it's an okay rifle. There's definitely rifles that are much better. And that's a 7.62 10 round mag, semi-automatic and fully automatic. It's an okay rifle, like I said. Then you have your M320. This is the first one-hit kill rifle you unlock. While other guns like the Rahim can one-hit kill, this is the only rifle that's consistent across the entire body at any range. And it's the best sniper rifle, in my opinion, until level 50. Because it has the highest bullet velocity, and the lowest bullet drop, of course, and it's more accurate than your Lynx. The reason you get a better rifle at level 50 is because at level 50 you get the armor-piercing Lynx, which can shoot through tower walls and destroy vehicles very quickly. And that's the only thing that gives it an advantage over the M320 in my opinion. It's heavier, it is slightly faster firing, but it's a smaller magazine, so you have less ammo with it, even running the ammo perk. Like I said, slower bullet velocity, does more damage, but both rifles are one-hit kill no matter what, so the damage does not come into play unless you're shooting through the side of a vehicle or something like that. Now you go into your DMRs. You have your ASP-KAR, your MK1, MK14, all those types of guns. These are all great guns, but things I recommend unlocking much later on. Unless you are a really good PvPer, in which case something like an MK14 with an AMS scope will serve you extremely well. I used that from level 30 up to, I think, level 70, pretty much non-stop. And it wasn't until then I started truly branching out and using other weapons again. And I mean, that overall is the rifles. And then we go into launchers. RPG-42 Alamet is heavier than the RPG-7, but it is more consistent with a one-shot kill on things like a Strider and Hunter, those types of vehicles. RPG-7, it is lighter, but usually takes 2 rockets to kill something like a Strider. Now with the explosive perk, you have 3 rockets with the RPG-42 and you have 4 rockets with the RPG-7. Overall, both great launchers. It's more of a personal opinion than it is anything else, because I regularly use both of them and I really like them both. Of course, you can get the HE. This is good for infantry and really nothing but infantry, and I don't usually use rocket launcher for any of that. Now handguns, you really don't need a handgun unless you're sniping or something like that. If you are going to buy one, I highly recommend the suppressed PO7, because that will serve you very, very well. And that's everything for as far as weapons go. And now we will go ahead and take a look at scopes. Alright, so now we are looking at our scopes. I'll go ahead and take out something a little different. So the AK-12 here, because I cannot put scopes on an AKM, as I have stated previously. Starting out, your ACO red and green are going to serve you the best. MK17 hollow sight, it's okay. I personally prefer the ACO over that. And once you have the money and are high enough level, the RCO, ARCO, ERCO, and MRCO are your best options. Those are extremely good sights. They'll serve you in pretty much all ranges. I've hit shots at 1200 meters with an ARCO. And they're very consistent, great for medium range and close range. And then you go a little more in depth. You got your Kalia Old, your MOS, LRPS. These are all fairly long range scopes. Things like your Kalia is more of a medium range scope, same for the MOS. But then you have what is, in my opinion, the best scope in the game. You have the AMS, which the AMS is absolutely amazing. You have the option to range all the way up to 1600 meters on something like an AK-12. You can only go up to 1000. But say you have an MK-14, you can range all the way up to 1600. It has a red dot on top, great for close range. Has 3 times zoom by default, and then 10 times if you zoom in with the scope. So it's great at pretty much every range. And in my opinion, like I said, the best scope in the game. We'll go ahead and pull out an ARCO here so you can see what that looks like. The ARCO is probably the best scope to use if you're playing in the AO, especially at a lower level. Have a red dot on top, and then a 2 times in the second reticle, which is automatically ranged 300 meters and 200 for the red dot. And this is a great scope if you just want to do some PvP at medium range. I mean, that's pretty much everything as far as scopes. It's fairly simple. Scopes come down more to personal preference than they do anything else. But if you're looking for something that will work effectively in every type of combat situation, like I said, the AMS will serve you better than anything else, unless you're playing a modded server. But being this is based around King of the Hill, you're probably not going to be on a modded server. So now we will go ahead and take a look at vehicles. So now we have your vehicles. Got your quad bike, your off-road, Quillen, Prowler, off-road armed, Hunter, Ifrit, Strider, Quillen armed, and Prowler armed. These are the only ground vehicles available under level 50 on the infantry only server. At level 50, you get the SUV, Hatchback Sport, and the Jeep. I believe it's level 60, you get the go-kart at. Which these are all great vehicles. I regularly use these more than I do anything else. But starting out, quad bike and off-road are going to be your best bets. But on King of the Hill, there's almost always a helicopter waiting at spawn to pick you up. If you're trying to save money and level up, I highly recommend just getting in with them. Now, this is another option here for leveling up, is using the MH9 Hummingbird, or any of these other helicopters flying transport. If you're a good pilot, and you are capable of landing safely, then you can make $100 and 100 XP for every person you drop off in the AO. That Hummingbird right there, I believe that's fully loaded. If he lands that, he's going to make $700 and 700 XP off of it. You also get kill assist off of anything else that they end up killing while out in combat. So, overall, being a pilot can be a great way to level up, but it requires a lot more skill, which we do have guides teaching the basics of piloting, and even going a little bit more advanced into that if you'd like to look at those. You have your Hellcat and all these different things. The Ghost Hawk is the only armed helicopter you can get on infantry only servers, and there is no jets on here. But it's, again, vehicles are kind of a personal preference, and if you're trying to level up and save money, just get in the nearest helicopter you can find. But if they tell you to get out of the helicopter, get out of the helicopter. You don't want to be that jerk who's getting in a vehicle and they really don't want you there because they're trying to do something completely unrelated to where you want to go. So just always ask first, and if they are a transport helicopter, go with them. It's your best bet. Now, we will talk about actual tactics for leveling up and what are going to be your best bets to level up fighting in the AO. Alright, now, I'm in the AO here. You're probably wondering what's the best way to level up. Now, you've probably been in the AO for a little bit, gotten a few kills, shielding towers, shielding the AO, that type of stuff. And experimented with different things. The way I look at it, you have 3 options. You can sit in a tower with your teammates and help them defend. You can attack other towers and try and take over them. Or you can find a building in the AO to relax in, which works pretty well as well. All of them have their different pros and cons. Like sitting in a tower with friendlies, you can make money off reviving them if they die. They can revive you if you die. Pushing towers, you have a chance to get lots of kills, but you also have a high chance of dying. Just sitting in a building and playing the AO. Depending on where you are, you can get a lot of kills, but you have no one there to help you if you die. So it's just kind of finding what works best for you. Just being in the AO in general and killing enemies is your best way to level up, unless you are a good pilot and can fly transport and successfully land every time. If you can do that at low levels, that's going to be way more effective than playing the AO. Now, another thing to look at is your loadout. Of course, as I covered before, early in the video, you have your scopes and all your different things in the game. So you can use whatever you want, whatever you find best work for you, but if you're looking for a loadout that works best in every situation, then that would be the MK14 with the AMS scope, an RPG-42 Alamat, and then the PO7 suppressed. And then I run the Engineer perk, the Launcher perk, and the Marksman perk. Now, this requires a lot of money, the permabuy, all that type of stuff, and it requires you to have all 3 perk slots, but say this loadout performs very well in the AO, and this is great in every situation. You can take out vehicles, you can fight long range, medium range, close range. You have a suppressed pistol. If you're, say, sneaking up on a sniper or something, you want to take them out silently in case they have buddies around. Overall, it's a great loadout. and it's what I run pretty much all the time. I do use other stuff, but this is what I use the most. So that's it, pretty much. I mean, that's your starter guide, the King of the Hill. And in the future guides, I'll be covering a bit more advanced topics, as I said, talking about the vehicle server and tactics to use in the AO to help your team win and things like that, such as that. And anyways, I hope you guys found this guide helpful, and I will see you in the next one.